All right, we have breaking updates now coming in. In a major development, Iran says that it has finalized a memorandum of understanding with the United States to help end the ongoing conflict. So according to Iran, all military operations, including in Lebanon, will stop immediately and the naval blockade on Iran will be lifted. So Tehran says the talks on a final peace agreement will begin only after the United States fulfills its commitments, including the release of the frozen Iranian assets. Let's go across to my colleagues Srinjoy Chaudhary as well as Mayank joining us on the broadcast. A very good morning to you. And Srinjoy, this is the news that the entire world has been waiting for, but often that question has dodged this peace deal. Is it the same understanding of the peace deal for both the sides? And that question still remains. Do we have the answers? Does the United States and Iran have the same understanding of the peace deal?
Yes, it's finally a good morning after a lot of fighting for 40 days and a lot of uncertainty during a tenuous ceasefire. But even now, as you rightly said, it's not really clear whether both sides are actually on the same page. Yes, both sides want an agreement, both sides want peace, both sides will sign something on on Friday. But the question is, what is the fine print? Now, let's look at the issues one by one. First, Strait of Hormuz. That matters to India because 20% of the world's oil and natural gas goes through the Strait of Hormuz, and it hasn't for 100 days. Now, that's going to be opened is what we are hearing. Number two, the blockade of Iranian ports by the United States. That's going to be lifted. That means that there'll be more oil in the world market. China gets 90% of Iran's oil. So that problem could be solved. Then Lebanon. Lebanon is where the fighting between the Israelis and the Hezbollah has been going on for quite a while. And we are hearing, after calls by the president himself to the Israelis and a message to the Hezbollah, that could come to an end. But there are other issues that we are not very clear about. Now, first, this nuclear issue. Where does Iran stand? Where does America stand? Have they agreed to agree on the nuclear issue? The 400 kilos of enriched uranium. Now, where is that going to be after the peace agreement is signed? Who will have it?
Yes.
Iran, America, the IAEA, who? We don't know as yet. Fourthly, the issues of the sanctions being lifted,
yes,
and the reconstruction of Iran as compensation. Now, are we looking at another Marshall Plan? We had a Marshall Plan after World War II. Is this another Marshall Plan? Is Donald Trump actually going to come up with $300 billion to reconstruct Iran?
Yes.
Unless
on the
America...
question of Iran, my apologies, Srinjoy, stay with us. On the question of Iran, we in fact have a reaction from the Iranian state media saying the United States will release $12 billion in frozen Iranian assets before formal negotiations begin. So according to reports, the fund release is part of this 14-point memorandum of understanding between Washington and Tehran. This also, of course, remember, was one of Iran's key conditions for moving forward with talks on a final agreement. So Iranian media says, and I'm quoting, the US will release $12 billion in frozen assets to Iran before the start of negotiations, according to the 14-point memorandum of understanding between the two nations. This is what has been reported by the Iranian state media. So, Mayank, Iran has been very clear. US has to release the $12 billion in frozen assets of Iran. And that seems to be slightly different if we compare the United States as well as Iran, because while Iran is still being cautious, US has been jubilant in the announcement.
Good morning, Pratibha. It's very important point we are bringing out, because and for that to make our viewers understand the broader points actually. In this case, what we can easily see is actually Iran has clarified on three important points actually. $12 billion is the frozen amount which it says that should be cleared. 30 days it might take time for complete clearance of mine in Strait of Hormuz, and 60 days maybe in that time nuclear issues could be discussed. That is the kind of a timeline which we can summarize from the way the media reports are coming from that side. But what we have to understand is that militarily no one has achieved anything. Economically, it was very important for Iran to come to a deal because it was facing a major problem on that aspect. But then, as I have already said, that strategically nothing has been achieved from both sides, and at least from Israel's side and Iranians, the US side. What it is being watched, as we can summarize or understand from the ways that things are moving, is that Iran is waiting for signals that whether the $12 billion will be released, then they'll move ahead for the next things. And similarly, whether the operations on Lebanon will be stopping, then they'll come up and understand or agree to certain other conditions. So there are sub-conditions and conditions after which some kind of a larger agreement could be achieved. And nuclear is something on which no talks are taking place, even after J.D. Vance himself has said that we can safely say that Iran will never acquire a nuclear bomb. That's the kind of statement which has come from the US side, but not from the Iranian side. Mind it, Pratibha.
Okay.
So interestingly, we have to wait and watch till Friday at least for some kind of a clarity, because then once details come out, and then only we'll be able to summarize and pinpoint the precise issues and aspects, Pratibha.
Okay, all right. In fact, the signing is expected on the 19th of June in Switzerland. Until then, that suspense is going to continue, but the announcement has already come in from the US President Donald Trump that the peace has been achieved, that an understanding has been achieved with Iran. Shinjoy and Mayank, do stay with us. There are a few caveats, though, in this understanding, because Iran has been very, very clear about its red lines. One of the biggest ones being the assets must be released first. So before this entire process begins, Iran is very clear. All the frozen assets have to be released by the United States. So $12 billion of the frozen assets have to be released by the United States. And of course, the larger question still remains on the uranium enrichment, on the nuclear program of Iran, because Trump has not mentioned anything about it, and these nuclear talks are yet to begin very clearly. So there are some key issues that remain unsolved at the moment.